Hey, what's up everyone? Bass here. So today's video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be chatting about this week 6 matchup, Packers versus Jets in Lambeau this Sunday with Ian from JetsCentral. He has a YouTube channel all about the Jets. If you want to go check it out, just click the links down below, go check out his channel. And if this is something you do enjoy, please make sure to go down, click that like button, as well as leave a comment down below. All right, so let's get into the video. All right, guys, we have Ian from JetsCentral for this upcoming Jets versus Packers game, 1 o'clock in Lambeau. We're going to ask him a few questions for this very important upcoming matchup. So firstly, overall, Ian, I want to ask, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm excited for the game. I'm excited to be here too. Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. So I want to know, because obviously I haven't watched too many of the Jets games. I've been really, into the Packers. That's kind of how I always am. How have the Jets looked overall this season? I know they're the same record as the Packers, 3-2. I saw Joe Flacco, my guy Joe Flacco, holding it down there for a bit. But what's the overall look up with the New York Jets?
So like right now, man, they're 3-2. So above 500 a week, or I guess a little over a week now in October. This is like the dream for Jets fans right now because you look at the first half. Yeah, really the first half of the Jets schedule, it's tough. Like going to Green Bay, going to Denver, Miami, like there's a bunch of tough teams there. And for the Jets to be, over a quarter of the way done through the season, sitting here over 500, I feel like I can speak for the entirety of Jet Nation. We feel really, really good, not only about just what the Jets have done so far, but the future of this team. Also, I mean, this is the NFL. You can't really take anything for granted, but the second half of the schedule does seem to soften up a little bit. So I'm excited, man. I really, really am.
It's funny you say you can't take anything for granted, because over here in Green Bay, we're 3-2 as well, and there's people calling for firings of head coach, defensive coordinator, which is all crazy talk in my opinion. I mean, Matt LaFleur is the most winningest head coach for the first 3.5 seasons ever, so it doesn't make any sense to me on that. But there's people calling for
that's
Joe,
nuts, man.
Joe
That's crazy.
Barry's head, and there's even comments, which is it's trolling in my opinion. The whole start Jordan Love, this it's been all over the board. So it's crazy to see the two different outlooks. Jets 3-2, the Packers 3-2, same record. Crazy to see that, but both lost 2 games. The Jets lost in Ravens versus the Ravens week 1 and the Bengals week 3. What went wrong in those games, and why did the Jets lose those games?
Really a combination of two things: mistakes, and starting slow. I think both of those things just, and that was a big problem last season too with the Jets, where they only won 4 games overall. Just starting slow, man. Like you're down. It's the end of the first quarter and you're down 10-0, 14-0, stuff like that. I believe once really in that Bengals game, that it was just tough because the Jets, it seemed like they were hanging around in the first quarter. First quarter ends, they're down, I believe, 14-6. And then John Franklin Myers, I believe it was on a third down, hits Joe Burrow late and essentially gives the Bengals an extra possession here. They go down the field and they score. At that moment, it felt like the game was over and the Jets just could not claw their way back in.
Yeah.
So just things like that, stupid mistakes. I mean, even in Sunday's win against the Dolphins, this team allowed gave up over 100 yards in penalties. They're penalized a lot. It just doesn't really seem like when this team starts off slow, they can get themselves back into the game. With that said, though, they do play their best football in the fourth quarter. So if they could just keep it close in the first half of the game, just one possession, if they can, have the lead, I think it really bodes well for the Jets as the game trickles on. But no, when they get like decked in the face early, it's hard for this team to come up off of the mat.
That's interesting because the Packers, they were up 20-10 against the Giants at half. And the first half offense looked great. Yeah. Quick fire offense. The defense was ferocious, multiple 3-and-outs, flying to the ball. And I felt really comfortable. I was like, okay, 10-point lead against the Giants. And then they went scoreless in the second half, let up 17 straight and lost the game. So that's definitely like a complete polar opposite to what the Jets have been doing from what you've said. So that's definitely going to be interesting to how the Packers, react to that overall. But another thing I have interest in is Zach Wilson. So obviously, with his knee injury, with Zach Wilson, how did he look in his first game back? And me being a Flacco guy, as I said, did you want him to remain at quarterback? He looked impressive through the first 3 or 4 weeks. So how did Zach Wilson look coming back for his first game?
Yeah, man, Wilson. I think really the big thing with Wilson too, in his debut performance was how is he going to look like as far as his legs went, right? Like mobility, can he move around? Is he going to be shying away from hits? Is he going to be throwing the ball away early? But I mean, he looked, I don't want to say great. You know, he didn't look like a top 5 or a top 10 quarterback or anything like that. He had a couple of boneheaded mistakes. He threw one INT right before the half, which I was at the sports bar. I shot up. I'm like, dude, you got to be kidding me. Like, this is crazy. Why would you throw that pass? But outside of a couple mistakes, I mean, the arm strength is there, the mobility was there, the quick release is also there. And you see the flashes of like greatness. And I know it might sound like a homery type of statement, but you know, and I'm sure you've seen it, you know, in the early days of Aaron Rodgers. Granted, Rodgers had the 3 years on the bench or
Yeah.
two or 3 years on the bench. But early in Rodgers' career, like you would see, like obviously he wouldn't be perfect, but you would see that throw, you would see that drive, and you would say, like, damn, like this is like Rodgers could be absolutely elite
For sure.
moving forward. You kind of see that too with Zach Wilson. So if he could just limit the mistakes, I think the Jets will be in really, really good hands. But in the debut performance, had a couple bad throws, had a couple really good throws. But I think in the end, when it mattered most on the game-winning drive, Zach Wilson was 6 for 6, so he was perfect.
Nice.
And then in the fourth quarter, he was actually 10 of 12. So overall, you know, I do like the amnesia to a certain degree for him to say, oh, you know what, made a couple poor decisions and choices early on in the game, but now I can bounce back and really lead and rally the team late.
Nice. Yeah, I really liked him coming out of the draft. And I thought, you know, this is a guy where if you surround him with a lot of talent, a good defense, you know, obviously Robert Saleh, a great defensive coach, so they can do that over there. I really liked him coming out. So, you know, seeing him come back and hopefully have a better year than last year is definitely something I want to see. Another player I'm very interested in is Breece Hall. He looks like the real deal. Had a really huge game this Sunday against the Dolphins. Is he going to be a problem in this league? And I'm asking that because the Packers have struggled against running backs. So that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I think so, man. I mean, you look at Breece; he could hurt you on the run, you know, on the ground in the passing attack. And even when Breece Hall has to come out of the game if he's tired, whatever the case is, they got Michael Carter as well, and he's really difficult to bring down. He's a shifty back who can also hurt you on the ground and in the passing game too. So they have two versatile backs, two young backs that you don't really have to worry about snap counts or anything. I mean, like they don't have a Frank Gore on the roster, and Frank Gore was the team's number one running back in the Adam Gase era. In like the mid to upper 30s, and it's just like, man, that's not a recipe for success. Like they were just running him into the ground. But now the Jets have fresh legs pretty much at every single point in the game. You have you have an option there, like a legitimate option that can take it to the house on any given play. This offense, although they have been throwing the football a lot, I do think a lot of success, like if you could have success in the running game, setting yourself up in third and shorts, building off of the play action. I'm sure Matt LaFleur's and Mike LaFleur's offenses are pretty similar here. You just want to get into that sweet spot, right? Just as a fan of football, third and threes, you know, you have a lot higher of a percentage to convert than a third and 11, a third and 9, so forth and so on. So, you know, I really think that they gotta feed both Breece Hall and Michael Carter. They did that last week against the Dolphins. They had a lot of success. And, you know, they actually had their biggest win of the season, winning 40-17 against Miami when the running backs were, you know, heavily involved.
It's funny you say that because, you know, as a Packers fan, it's the same thing. You know, feed Aaron Jones, feed A.J. Dillon, two backs that complement each other very well. So very similar situation here where, you know, Aaron Jones is, you know, one of the better backs in the league, highest in yards per carry, but only 19th in carries. So you look at that and you go, okay, why aren't you giving him the ball more? In situation last week, 3rd and 2, 4th and 2, knocking on the doorstep of a touchdown to tie the game and potentially go for 2 to win it. They pass the ball 2 straight times where you're saying, you know, could Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon get 2 yards and two carries? Yes, they could. So there's a lot of issues there as well. I wish the Packers would run it more, but it looks like the Jets definitely have a similar situation with a nice 2-headed backfield there. But finally, I want to ask you, Ian, what do the Packers have to do to beat the Jets this Sunday?
Start fast, man. If you can just get 2 quick scores early on and really just, I mean, I hate to say it, but put the Jets out of misery early and just essentially beat them down, control the game, control the clock. I think Green Bay should win this football game. It's not, you know, a guarantee, but given the Jets so far this season, given what the Jets looked like last season, when teams score fast, when teams really win the first half against this Jets squad, they just, for whatever reason, have a very difficult time battling back. And I'm not talking about, being up by 3 entering the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I'm talking about maybe 2 scores entering the fourth quarter or even entering the third quarter. It just seems like at certain points in the game, the Jets, and this is whether they start fast or start slow, there is like a lull, if that makes sense. There's a portion of the game last week against the Dolphins. It was in the end of the second quarter, pretty much the entire third quarter.
That's how the Packers are. Third quarter, man.
Yeah, they just can't really do anything. They can't really have they just don't really have a lot of success. So if the Packers could just, again, beat them down in the first quarter and then just sustain that throughout the rest of the game, I feel like it's going to be very difficult for the Jets to bounce back.
Yeah, the Packers have started fast in some of these games and they've started slow in some of the games. But the main thing is, like, the third quarter has been pretty atrocious. So like I said, with the Packers going up by 10 points against the Giants last week and, dropping 17 straight, allowing the Giants to score 17 straight and losing that game. It was a horrible, horrible second half. So you say, get up big by 2 scores in the first half. And I'm going, well, we already kind of did that last week and we still lost. So for the Packers to win, I think they have to run the ball with Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, and just feed your stars on offense and play more aggressive defense. Force Zach Wilson to beat you through the air. That's what I think the Packers have to do, not this soft zone they've been running this entirety of the year. But I appreciate you coming out, Ian, so much. Super excited for this game. I'm going to put all his links down below in the description, so make sure to go check out his channel.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, man.
All right, guys, as always, go Pack Go.